Hey everybody, this is Tina, and I think I'm going to go live here. I think I'm going to do it. So I've been having some major technical difficulties, so I'm about 10 minutes early from what I originally said I was going to go live. I'm going to jump on here, and we're going to make sure that everything is working okay and looking okay, and then we're going to make a card today. So let's see how this is going to work. Okay, guys. Okay, so I see somebody is here. Hey, Joanne from Colorado. So I'm here a little bit early because I was having some technical difficulties, and I just want to make sure that everything is working okay. So it looks like it's okay. I was having some problems with auto-focusing. Doesn't look like I'm having those issues now. That looks good. And then hopefully you guys can see me and hear me. And I'm sorry I'm going to be coughing a little bit. Hey, Debbie. Oh, good. Okay, so a couple people are jumping on here. So normally I edit out all my coughs, especially when I'm sick. I've been sick the last couple weeks here. Well, about the last week. But since we're live, I can't edit that out. So we're just going to, I'll apologize. Thank goodness germs don't travel through the camera, right? So you guys are good. You won't get sick. I've been on antibiotics, so I don't think anybody can catch what I've got, but you know, it's all good. So I want to make a card today for you guys. I want to start doing some Facebook Lives, and I'm getting some kinks worked out. I'm working with a different camera, and Facebook Lives are new to me, and they make me extremely nervous, which you would not think that was so, since I've been on YouTube for 8 years, and I've been doing videos and crafting with you guys and crafting for you guys. But I get really nervous with these Facebook Lives. So I'm going to dive in, and we're going to make a card. This is a really super clean and simple card, which is really my style. I really love white space cards. So that's what this is going to look like. I'm going to be using this stamp set, but really I'm just using this teeny tiny thanks. Really, we're going to be doing some die cutting, and we're going to have some... most of the card is going to be die cuts, but I took this stamp, which is this one right here, and I cut it. So the other piece is in here. It's here, right here. I do that a lot. I cut my stamps. The more that you can get out of your stamps is always the best. So this is all things thanks, and I really got this stamp set for, I'm sorry, and that's my... I wonder if you guys are getting back. Okay, so let me mute my computer. I wonder if you guys are getting back, what's that called? Back sound. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Oh, I don't think I need to mute my computer. Okay, so just let me know if you can hear me and if you're getting any of like the back, like the back plane sound. I don't know what that's called. Or I can't think of the word right now. So I'm getting a couple thumbs up, so I think you guys can hear me okay. It is a little bit strange. Oh, perfect. Okay, you guys can hear me fine. It's a little bit different. I'm not on my phone, so I have this whole other camera set up, and it's a little bit different than what I'm used to on my phone. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to be using this stamp set, and also we're in the middle of a big storm. So wouldn't you know, the day that I choose to start my Facebook Lives, we're in the middle of this big storm, and the internet is all funky. But that's okay. We're just going to go with it. So we're going to use this, and then most of the card is going to be die cutting. So I have a giveaway for you guys. Hey, Chris, thank you for jumping on here. I just texted Chris to ask her to make sure I was doing everything okay. Okay, so I'm grabbing my giveaway. Here they are. Okay, so I have giveaways. Okay. Yes, giveaways are fun. Okay, you guys. So today, I don't know for you guys, on my screen, my colors are looking a little bit weird. This is Peekaboo Peach, which is much lighter than what I feel like it's showing up on camera. And this is my favorite Bermuda Bay, which is turning up really blue instead of like blue-green. But you guys get that, hopefully you guys get the idea. Maybe it's showing up a little bit different on your screen, but those are the colors that I'm using. And I'm using Peekaboo Peach because this color is retiring. So we have several colors that are retiring, and they are more than likely going to sell out this month. Probably not more than likely, probably like it's going to happen. It happens every year in April when the retiring list goes live. That will go live next Monday, and I'll be sending out to everyone on my email list what's retiring. But these 4 colors are in colors, and they are retiring. So these colors I'm kind of using right now, and I've also already purchased re-inkers for all of my ink pads, and then I purchased 2 sets of the writer markers, and this is the giveaway for today. So if you guys could share this little broadcast we're doing, I know it's a little bit of a hot mess today, but we're going to get through it. Share this, leave a comment, maybe where you're from. Hey, Gina. And I'm going to pick somebody to send these markers to. It's a brand new set of the end colors that are retiring. So also, if you guys are wanting any of these colors, any of these ink pads, any cardstock, or re-inkers, now is the time to go ahead and pick that up. So let's go ahead and get started with our card. So I'm using Peekaboo Peach and Bermuda Bay. Orange and blue, it's one of my favorite color combos. If you guys are familiar with Kathy Zilski, it's kind of her favorite color scheme too. She uses it on a lot of her stuff. She designed a Project Life mini card kit. And those were the colors, and I loved it. So these are the colors we're going to use. And what I've done is I have my card base, so we're going to have that. So all I've done with my colored pieces is I've just cut strips of this. So it's going to look like this. I've cut a bunch of them. And you don't actually need a bunch. You actually only need about 5. And I cut 3 of each just so I could play with the design of the card. And then once I decided what I wanted, I only ended up using 5. So that's what you're going to need for your colored cardstock. So we're going to start with our card base. So here is, I need this piece right here. Here is a Whisper White piece of cardstock. And I don't know if you guys can tell with this camera, but if you guys get these little fuzzies on your paper when you are cutting it, all you have to do is take a nail file, an emery board, and just run that along your paper. So that can happen for a couple reasons. It can happen if your blade is worn out. It can happen if your cardstock, depending on where you keep your cardstock. I keep mine in my office, which used to be our garage. And it gets a little bit damp and cold in the wintertime. So I struggle with my cardstock a little bit in the wintertime. So that's just a great way to fix that problem. If you're using a rotary trimmer, meaning you have a round blade that you're not pulling, but it's, rolling, you usually don't have that problem. But if you're using a trimmer like our trimmer, like the Stampin' Up! Trimmer, and you're pulling and pushing, you can get that. And oftentimes it's not because your blade is worn out. Lots of people think that maybe it's the blade is worn out, but sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it's just the humidity in the air. So I always just keep one of these. I got this at Walmart. It's just a little cheap, file. It's, pretty, has that pretty design. And then I use that to do that for my cardstock. So we're starting with a Whisper White piece of cardstock, and this is 8.5 by 11. And then I cut it in half, so it gave me 4.25 by 5.5, which is a standard A2 size card. And it's going to open up this way, which is actually my favorite way to have a card open up. So the next thing I have is I have a piece of our thick Whisper White cardstock. So our regular Whisper White cardstock is 80 pounds. And then our thick Whisper White cardstock is 110 pounds. So oftentimes a lot of people will use the thick Whisper White for a card base. It gives you a much sturdier card, you know, base. I like using our Whisper White because I like the way that it creases. But I am going to use a thick piece, and we're going to layer this piece right on top. Now, at the very end of this video, I'm going to show you how this card started out and the changes that I made to kind of step it up. So for this piece right here, what I've done is I've just cut it at 4 by 5 1/4. So I've taken a 1/4 inch off, and it's going to make a really great layer. So we're going to set our card base aside because we're going to do all of our, we're going to put together all of our stuff and do our stamping. And then we will put it all together. So here I have my strips, and if you look at them really close, you're going to see this stitched detail. I cut this at a 1/4 inch, so they're just little strips. And then you guys, I used this product right here, which don't tell anybody that I'm using non-Stampin' Up! Product in this video, but I am. I'm a rebel, you guys. This is super cute. It's a die. So I got this like a 1.5 years ago, and I never used it. I forgot I had it. But when I was doing this card, when I originally designed this card, I felt like it needed a little something, and I remembered I had this. Who does that? You buy stuff, you forget you have it. All of a sudden, you're like, I know I have that. I know somewhere I have that. So this is stitched. They're just strips and they're stitched dies. And you run them through. And so we have a regular stitched right here. We have a crisscross stitch, a diagonal stitch, and then a dot stitch. So cute, right? So I got mine off Amazon. You can find Lawn Fawn product on Amazon. Just type it in. These are the... Does it say? Does it say? Item number LF9113. I think they're just called stitched dies. I'll link it on here, you guys, when I get done making this card. So what I did is I just ran that die over my strips a couple times. I didn't use any washi tape or anything to hold it down. Actually, once I just laid it on there, and I just laid it on the edge here, and then I would lay it on the other edge, and it worked perfect. So I did that with, I have 3 orange, and then the 3 of the Peekaboo Peach, and then 2 of the Bermuda Bay, okay? So the next thing I did is I cut out a bunch of these, oh, it's hard to see on that map. Let's put them right here. So these are U's, okay? And I used the large framelit alphabet set from Stampin' Up! So let me show you that. And I used my Big Shot. So I love my Big Shot, and anybody who purchases a Big Shot from me, you get to pick out 2 embossing folders free when you do that. So these are the large letter dies, and I love them. I have used them so much more than I ever thought I would. I have the large number set, and then I have the large letter set. So what I did is I just cut out a bunch of these U's, and we're going to glue these together. So now normally I would cut all of this out. Like I would edit it out. You wouldn't have to see me gluing stuff and taking all this time digging through my drawers to find the glue. But now we just get to chit chat, you guys. So I'm going to glue these together. I'm using this multi-liquid glue. So who uses this, and then who uses instead, have you guys ever used this? Zip dry paper glue. Which one do you guys use? This I used to use years ago, and I love it, but you can see it's just a regular, so you got to dip something in there, and then it gets kind of gummy. I love this, but it just doesn't have a top, right? Hey, April. Oh my gosh, you are from a ways away there. So this, at least it has a top, and then it also has this, which I never have used. Rarely have I used. But did you guys know that this is, the reason it is multi is because it can be repositionable. So if you put this on something and you let it dry, and then you stick it together, if you let it dry for a few minutes, it becomes repositionable. So that is pretty amazing that you can use it for both. Sometimes I will use it on my clear blocks. If you live in a place where it's hard to get your stamps to stick to your clear blocks, if you run a little bit of that glue right over your block and you leave it set for a few minutes, you'll have a repositionable tacky type surface. So what I've done is I have just cut out several of these. I think I'm going to do 4. And we're going to glue these on top of each other, and it's going to make this a thicker embellishment. So I really wanted chipboard for this. Like I really wanted a really big chipboard U. I almost called this a Y. I wanted a really big chipboard U, but I didn't have one. Like I wanted it to be really big. And I didn't have that on hand. So I'm just making my own embellishment. So I'm just making sure that all of these pieces are together. They go together really easy. And then that's going to be thicker, so that's going to be great. And then how many of you guys remember glossy accents? Or paper, what was it? What was the other? Oh man, I did this upside down. Oh boy. Blooper. Well, it's not because we're live. Okay, so how many of you guys remember glossy accents, or maybe it was called glass paper or something like that? It's a glossy type. I can't believe I did that, you guys. That will dry clear. It won't be white, but you're definitely going to be able to see that. We're going to have to fix that somehow. You know what we can do? We'll just cut another black one. How about that? So I'm going to go to my Big Shot really quick. I'm going to grab a piece of black cardstock, and then I'm going to grab my die, and we'll just cut another one really quick. How about I just show you guys? So I'm not just off camera wandering around. Okay, so here's the Big Shot. We'll set this down. And then mine's acting a little bit funny because I need to tighten the screw. Look, I'll show you guys that too. So I can hear that it's kind of acting like it's weird. The sound is weird. So I just keep a little mini screwdriver, and you just have to tighten the screw down sometimes right here in this part of it. That's coming loose. I use my Big Shot a lot. Being a full-time Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'm using my Big Shot a ton, and so probably a lot more than the average person uses it. Okay, so this way we don't have that weird black, and I feel like it's getting a little dark in here. But it looked weird when I had the lights on, when I had my lights on. Okay, so now this is not upside down, and that's going to fix that problem perfectly. Okay, so we have the U. So the card's going to say thank you. So that's why I cut this stamp, and it says thank, and then this is going to say you. So I'm just pinching that together, making sure everything is together. So then let's start putting together our cards. So we have our 4 by 5 1/4 card front here piece. That's going to be a layer. And what we're going to do is I like to use my grid mat to do this. And I am going to layer these together. So what I want to do is I'm going to have to trim these because they're a little bit bigger. Again, when I show you guys the original card, you guys are going to see what I did different. So what I want to do is I think I want to do maybe 3. So I want to layer it like this, and then I want my U to be right here. So I think that 3 is going to be perfect. And I definitely want to make sure that these are all pushed together. I think they kind of got off a little bit, so they're not perfectly stacked. And then you can see like this, it's like coming off a little bit. Okay, so we'll let that sit. Okay, so I think 3 will be perfect. Oh, thank you. I love my nails. I had my friend Chris, who's on here, we get our nails done together, and sometimes I'll get color, but I really love my white tips. And there's just one guy who does it really well, and when he's not there, I get color, and I've had color the last few times we've gone, so I'm happy to have my white tips back. So I'm just using my grid mat, and I'm lining it up with the lines there, and then we're just going to do alternate. We're going to do Bermuda Bay, and then we'll do Peekaboo Peach, and I'm going to leave a little tiny bit of white peeking through, so not very much. Once you get that first strip on, it's going to be really easy to line everything up. So what I did is I did Bermuda Bay. I did 2 stitch lines. I'm going to show you because I know being a little farther away, it's a little hard to see those stitch lines. But that is really going to give the card so much. So see that Peekaboo Peach one? I just did 1 stitch line. And then the Bermuda Bay, I did 2 of the little stitch lines, and I love stitches. So I love faux stitching. I love the stitched dies, and that is originally why I picked up the Lawn Fawn, these stitched ones, because I thought it would be so fun to just be able to add that little bit of detail. So now we're going to do a little bit of stamping with that thanks, and I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use Peekaboo Peach because I just did the 1 Peekaboo Peach strip. So I have to clean my die because, or my stamp, because I was using Bermuda Bay. So I use the Stampin' Up little scrub, and then I use the Stampin' Up mist. And what I do is I get the big refill bottle, and then when I fill this up, I only fill half of it with the solution and then the other half with water. So then that way your solution goes a lot farther. Okay, so I'm just going to clean this stamp so I can make sure it's not. And I'm adding a little bit of adhesive because it's not sticking to my block very well. So for a couple of you guys have just, thank you, Chris. A couple of you guys have just popped on. So I have a giveaway for you guys. Share this little live video situation and leave a comment, maybe where you're from or what you're doing, how you're hanging out. And at the end here, I will pick somebody. I'll go ahead and I'll wait like 24 hours. So if you're popping on here and you didn't catch it live, you can still win this. So I'll go ahead and wait 24 hours and I'll pick somebody tomorrow, and then I'll send you a message and let you know that you've won. I'll tag you and then I'll send a message. So this is our giveaway. It's the writer markers. They're brand new, and these are the ones that are retiring. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and stamp my thanks before I go ahead and attach the U. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to position this where I want it, and then we're going to use Peekaboo Peach. And I get nervous. I don't have a scratch piece of paper here. I know I always do this on videos because I don't have scratch paper. Okay, that's going to be okay. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is we're going to try to make this work. I'm going to do this. My head's got to get kind of in the way here, but then I'm going to slide this out. Hopefully that's straight. I feel like I have a lot of little fuzzies on there. Okay, so now what we can do, this is a little bit thicker. So if it was just 1 layer of the U, what I would do is I would put foam tape on here. But since this is several layers of the U, I don't really need to pop it up. So I'll just put adhesive all on the back. And we'll stick this right down here. And with liquid glue, if you don't put it in the right position at first, you can move it around, which is really nice. So I just moved that over a little tiny bit. Okay, so next what you can do, our very next thing, we're going to add a couple things to this. I was thinking about adding a flower to it, or maybe a smaller flower. I want your guys' opinion. So I have a smaller, lighter flower that we could put on here. Or I could do a bow. So the other thing I could do, I think I got blurry. You guys, did I get blurry? Did my little project here get a little blurry? Okay, so the other thing that I can do is I can do a bow. So I would just cut some baker's twine and I would tie a bow. And then I would make this really small. So you guys tell me what you think. The flower or a little tiny bow? And I'll show you how the little tiny bow looks on there. So then the bow would look like this. So what do you guys think? It is a little blurry. Like all of a sudden it got a little blurry, huh? Oh, I'm just messing around with a couple settings here on my thing. Maybe that's a little bit better. Flower, bow on top, like bow like this. Oh, I didn't even think about that. And then still maybe the flower, like should we do both? So the large flower, so here's the little one. I wish I had a little orange one. This is a little bit darker. Let's do both. So here's the bow. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to just add a little glue dot. Oh my gosh, that bow on top looks really cute. I never would have thought of that. Okay, so I just stick this right on the glue dot. And then I take my, where is it? My X-Acto knife. And then I just push that glue dot up and under right on the bow there. And then we'll stick that right to the card. I've been using glue dots a ton. Okay. Like that. And then maybe the flower, large flower or small flower. Let's go with the big flower. Let's just do it. And we'll do a glue dot again. And then we're going to do a rhinestone. And then we'll finish up this card and put it together. Okay, so we have that, and then let's grab a rhinestone. Anytime I do flowers, I just have to do a rhinestone in the middle. I cannot help it. That rhinestone might be a little bit big, but we'll go with it. Okay. So how cute is that? Okay, so now let's put some foam on the back of this part. I'm using some 3M foam. I really like this foam for the back of my cards because I just feel like it's more sturdy than doing glue dots. I like glue dots for embellishments or different things like that, but when you're doing the whole back of a card like this, I feel like it is nice to have this. And I usually get mine on Amazon. I actually found at my Walmart, it's about $10 a roll. And at my Walmart a couple months ago, I saw a bunch of this in the clearance section for $5. And I bought 2 of them thinking I would come back and I would get some more, you know, the next time I was there, and they were all gone. So I totally wish that I would have got more when I was there. Okay, so we will close this ink because you guys know I'm going to stick my hand right in the middle of it. So now this is the back of the card. And then here's our card front. And we're going to stick this right in the middle here. And I have a little bit of, see, I already have a little ink right there. So I'm just going to take this little sander and sand that right off. Not bad. Okay, so here's the card. Great idea with a bow. Pretty quick. There's a bit of die cutting on it, so it's not maybe the quickest. But if you wanted to do a really quick one, here's the original one that I put together. So it still says thank you, and then it has a small orange flower there. These strips are much smaller. They were like 1/4 of an inch. And instead of doing the die, if you don't have those dies and you don't want to purchase them and then forget that you have them for a year, what you can do is take a white gel pen, and I'm just getting that ink warmed up, and you can just add stitching right to your cardstock. And that gives you a little bit of that stitched look. This is something that I do constantly. People make fun of me because I do stitching so much, but it's one of my favorite things to add, and it doesn't take a lot of product to have. You can just have a white gel pen and you're good to go. So the one that I use is the one that Stampin' Up! Used to sell. We used to have this in our catalog. We don't anymore, but you can get it on Amazon. You can see I'm a big Amazon fan. Makes it easy. Where I live, there's nothing around really. You really got to go quite far to get anything. And so I love having Amazon, and you can get these in like a pack of 3. And as soon as I'm done doing this, I will show you what the pin is. And then do you think on this one, do you think I should do the stitching inside the U? I'll hold it closer. So this is the Uniball Signo white gel pen, and it's one of my favorites. Probably needs white stitching in there, huh? There we go. So which one do you guys think is better? I'm going to take a really good photo of this when we get done, and I'll post it here on my group, here on the Facebook page. So they both look a little bit different, but this one does not have that extra layer. And then you can see it's just one of the black U's, and then I popped it up with foam tape. So there's not much to that one. And then this one, I did several of the U's, so it's a lot thicker. And then, of course, we have this second layer that's popped up. So I love the way that came out. I love the colors too. So I'm so excited to have done my first Facebook Live, you guys. You guys made it super easy for me to do, and I actually wasn't as nervous as I felt like I was going to be there at the beginning. My plan is to do these twice a month, you guys. So 11 a.m. on the 20th, I believe, will be my next one. And if they go well, I'll start doing them every week. I just want to make sure that they're going to go well and everything's going to work. I don't ever want to promise I'll do something and then not be able to do it. So I just want to make sure everything's going to work with my schedule, and you guys are going to love these. And then if so, I'll add more. So I had so much fun hanging out, guys. Remember, share this broadcast. Leave me a comment. If you're catching the replay of this, then you will want to make sure you leave a comment with your name, and you can share it after it's not, if it's not live anymore, you can still share it. And I will pick somebody on Saturday afternoon to win a set of the writer markers for the end colors that are retiring. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys later.